At Kansas State, Big 12 football, excited about this weekend. Expecting a big crowd. The Stripe the Stadium thing has been pretty successful here for the last 3 times that we've done it. I think looking forward to that. And obviously Kansas State's always a fun game for us. Been pretty competitive, about as competitive as it can get the last 4 or 5 games. So expecting this weekend to be no different than that. They've still got great continuity with their coaching staff. They've got 2 new coordinators. One Coach Dimmel left for UTEP to be a head coach. Very, very well deserved. He's done a wonderful job with that offense there for the last several years, and then had their defensive coordinator retire. But when you really look at it, they've replaced them with guys that have been in their program. So they're not doing anything really any different. Coach Snyder, from a continuity perspective, obviously it gets none better than this anywhere, maybe in sports in general. Just the continuity that he brings with what he's done at Kansas State, and the coaches that work for him have has been the same for a long time. So maybe a few new faces, a few younger faces on that staff, but who are going to bring their own little twist and all that. I get that, but from just overall in general, they're the same as they've been. The backbone of that program's always been toughness and discipline and program pride and all that good stuff. So I see the same stuff. Offensively, what they're doing, we know about the 2 quarterbacks, Skylar Thompson and the Delton kid. We'll be ready for both of them. No, they've kind of settled on Thompson for what I've seen the last week in particular. But really, they don't do a ton different with either one of them that's in there. So. We're gonna prepare for these guys like we normally do, and expect both of them to play. Got several running backs that they can go to as well. Gonna play tight ends. Gonna play fullbacks. Gonna more than likely try to, huddle up and control the ball like they always have. And they're as good at it as anybody. But they're getting better offensively, and they'll continue to get better, I think. Their quarterback's got a chance to be a good player. Got basically all of their offensive linemen back, so they have really good continuity up front. Couple receivers that look good to me, got really good speed. The Zuber kid, number 7, has made some people look pretty silly here in the last few weeks, so looks good. Defensively, pretty much like they always have. They've always been a 4-down front. They've always done a great job with their technique up front as far as rushing the passer. Linebackers that make plays, their secondary is our best. It's our biggest challenge yet by far. A lot of good returning guys coming back, and what they're doing in the back end is they're multiple with what they do. There's been times where this bunch has been nothing but play zone coverage. Back in the day, I've went against this group that's done nothing but man coverage. They do a good job of doing both and disguising things and being multiple. Special teams has always been, my biggest headache with these guys. Sean Snyder does a great job. They focus on it. It's important to them. They use a lot of players. I'm glad they don't have as many guys as they had last year, from their kicker to their punter to their deep snapper to those 2 return guys who are doing pretty good stuff in the NFL right now. But the product's still the same. You've heard me a lot say it's not always just about the specialists or the return guys, but there's 9 other people that are out there playing on those units. They cover hard. They use great technique. Their schemes are real sound. Got new guys back there at punt returner and kick returner that look pretty similar to the ones that they've had. So, gonna have to play well on special teams. And as scary as they were last year, I thought we hung in there with them. didn't give up didn't give up any points. They got a couple returns out last year, but for the most part, we did okay. That's got to be the same thing this week. So, typical Bill Snyder coach team. They're going to keep getting better every week. They got better last week. They'll get better this week. But it should be a great atmosphere here in Morgantown. We're certainly looking forward to it. I'm going to have to calm our guys down probably a little bit this week. We can't go out there and play this game today. Just because we weren't able to play last week doesn't mean we can't be overexcited. Which, we need to go out there and we need to prepare today and tomorrow and just get ready to play for what I think will be a great day on Saturday.
Dana, so what did you work on with basically extra time? Did you just work on yourself, or do you concentrate on Kansas State? How did you utilize the extra time?
A little bit of both. You guys have heard me say plenty. I don't overdo an opponent. They give you 1 week because that's about what it takes to get ready for an opponent. So, last Tuesday at this time, I thought we were playing North Carolina State, and we were prepared to go outside for practice that afternoon. And then 30 minutes later, after I went through the whole scouting report, the game was canceled. So, Tuesday and Wednesday, we pretty much just, turned them back into camp practices and went against each other. You got to keep playing. You need timing. You need conditioning. You need just a whole bunch of things to if you want them to improve or if you want them to stay the same, you got to keep doing it. So we did that Tuesday, Wednesday, and then practiced them over the weekend. Which gave us a little bit of time to be able to prepare, so we got a little ahead on Kansas State as well.
Coach, what is it about their quarterback run that it's coming, but it's still successful for them? What do they do that makes that happen?
Well, they block. That's the most important aspect of offensive football is blocking. So they do a good job with their technique. Their schemes are sound. They don't do anything different than what anybody else does from a quarterback run game perspective. They just are not afraid to do it a lot. Even when I had Skylar Howard here, we did a lot of quarterback run game, but I was still a little bit leery of doing too much of it because I didn't want to get to number 2. They have the luxury of having 2 of them. So it looks to me like, they're sound with what they do. They do a good job up front. They'll run that quarterback every play if they feel like it's necessary. I guess that's a result of having more than one of them. Certainly not something we're going to be doing.
Do these guys force you to play a certain way? And the reason I ask that is because the last 2 times you beat them, you basically beat them at their style. I think the first time you beat them was the first time you'd ever won a game scoring less than 20 points. What do they do that's different maybe than other teams that force you to play a certain way?
They play hard. They're well coached. It's everything the people say about them is true. They're well coached. They play with great effort. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes. This game's been fun. Really the one that we probably should have won was 3 years ago there. And then if you turn on Coach Snyder's press conference, he's going to be saying they should have won the last 2 games that we've played. So they've been back and forth. They've been closely contested games. They try to shorten the games. We're not going to get a ton of possessions. Different than what the first 2 games were like. We're averaging 10 possessions a game on offense and defense. So it's going to be a shorter game. Which means lower scoring games at times. I don't know if I've ever had a bigger headache than what 2 years ago was. I don't know how we won that game. I agree with them. I don't know how we won the last 2 games, but we turned it over and way too many times. I mean, the turnovers have been critical. The field position's been critical. That's what they do. Typically win the field position, typically win the turnover battle, try to limit mistakes, shorten the game, and they believe they can win at the end. That's what they do. So and we've done that. We've been able to play that way too, and we've won games like that. You know, last year, we played together last year. Our sideline was good. It's a challenging game, but our sideline was good. Didn't play very good on offense, but defensively we played really well. But we played together as a team. You know, you look at the sudden change points. I mean, that's what won it. So.
You mentioned patience with Will against Youngstown State. Is this a similar deal where be happy with the 5 and 6 yard plays and take your shots when you get them?
Yeah, because they can do different things to you. I mean, they're blitzing more and pressuring more and playing man coverage more than what I've seen. You know, so there's gonna be opportunities for big plays. I don't. That's what we've seen on video. So I'm not expecting them to do anything different. I don't think this will be a play off of your team 100% of the time. You know, they're a little more aggressive than what we've seen. More like what Tennessee did. Tennessee was a little bit more aggressive. Youngstown State was way back. I don't think the change with what they've put on video the last 3 games, I think they're going to be aggressive, which is going to give us opportunities to be able to make plays. Now, if they do, and Will's been great at identifying what they're doing and getting us in the best plays, I think that'll be critical here on Saturday.
Then are you happy with the decisions your kickoff returners have made so far, given the new rules? And do you tend more toward telling them to be aggressive, run it when you think you've got a shot, or?
Well, no, I can't tell you that. Right? I mean, I've been okay with it. I thought we didn't field the ball very good last week. If you look at what we did the first one, I think Marcus's decision was wrong. He caught it when his momentum was going backwards. He should have kneed it. He took off, and we got pinned inside the 20. That's what I'm trying to prevent more than anything. I mean, when you can fair catch it and take it on the 25, then you better not do anything to not have it on the 25. So that'd change week to week. And there's been a lot of talks. We've had a lot of talks and meetings on this. You know, last year, I wish this rule was in place last year, because their kicker was spectacular at hanging that thing up to the 1 yard line. That's hard to scheme, you know. That guy was pretty special. You know, so it's going to be week to week where the kicks are, what their hang time is, and how I feel we can scheme things up. So. I've been okay. I've been happy with it. Marcus has done a good job. I think we took a step back last week. And he let that one fall in front of him, you know, which put it on the 21 yard line. He had a 0 yard return because he misjudged it. So of the 4 attempts we had, Petaway did good on 1, Marcus did good on 1, and we did poor on 2. That's not good enough. First game, I was happy with it.
What about your own kicks? Do you see altering that up any depending on the opponent?
Well, we definitely did last year if you paid attention to it. I kicked it to we should have just onside kicked it every time. We squibbed it because I was not kicking it to number 2. And number 9 was scary too. You know, these guys that they got back there right now are potentially going to be in that same league. They haven't done it as much. So I will make those decisions on where we kick it. Based on who we play. I've been very happy with Evan up until this point. You know, I think his touchback rate's pretty high, and his kick placement has been pretty good as well.
Play before the half last year was like the best and the worst of Will. Trying to maybe throw a quick out to get in the field goal range, and then it turning into a catastrophe and then a touchdown.
I thought he did the same thing against Tennessee. There was just about 5 more seconds on the clock. But no, it was not good. I mean, he made a great play. But, you know, we capitalized. You can say it's why we won the game, but we capitalized on one of their mistakes. And I said, give me 10 yards and let's kick the field goal. And he got caught with the ball and was running around. He looked at the clock and it was 0, and he made a play. I said, if he ever does it again, then he's going to be in trouble. So I think against Tennessee, it was the same thing. And he did the same thing. He rolled around, he looked up at the clock, and there was about 6 seconds left, so he knew he was good, and so then he ran out of bounds. He's aware, progress. He's aware of that, and he was aware of them both. He just got caught. You know, those guys played good defense. He got caught with the ball and made the most of it on both of them, honestly.
Anna, you say every game is equal and the likes, but now you go into league play, and you've said that's like having a bowl game every week. How does it affect the way you prepare for games? How does it affect the way you play games? I mean, in coaching, even.
I just think I don't think it's anything that we say or do. I just think it's kind of the natural reaction of being in a conference situation. You know, everybody, the non-conference games are pretty damn important too now. And we all sat here when that first one talked about how big, you know, the neutral site situations are. I mean, those are awesome. And you say, well, Youngstown's not very important. Well, try losing that thing. You'll figure out how important that game is. But I just think that players embrace their conference. And, you know, players, I guarantee you our players did the same thing I did on Saturday, which was watch all the Big 12 games. You know, so there's just, there's, and it's a lot easier going into year 7 than it was going into year 1. You know, just based on, you know, everybody in our locker room was recruited to be in our conference, has been in these conference games, and there's no unknowns, so it means a lot more to them.
How do you watch a game? Do you scout a game? Do you, I mean, when you're watching
a little of both. You know, if I, you know, you can get irritated trying to scout it on TV because you just can't see everything, you know, so, you know, I'd probably do it a little bit more of a fan. Now, there's been times where we watch the video as a coach and we'll still go back and look at the TV copy because you can get information off a TV copy that you don't get off of a sideline end zone copy. So there's value in both. You know, from a schematic point of view, it's probably more sideline end zone. From kind of knowing who their people are personnel-wise, TV copy is pretty beneficial.
If you were watching this week's game as a fan, just how enjoyable, I guess, would you find the contrast in styles between your team and Kansas State?
I don't think there's a whole lot of difference, honestly. I mean, everybody wants to compare the whole, you know, the new school, old school way of this game with Kansas State and West Virginia. There's a lot of similarities I see. They've been on the forefront of a lot of scheme things, offensively, defensively, and especially special teams wise. I've copied a lot of their stuff. You know, now the one drastic difference from what you're seeing is quarterback run game versus more passing, but their pass plays are clearly up to date, and they do a great job with it. If you look back at us 2 years ago, we were really, really, really similar with what we did offensively and what they do. You know, there's some similarities now with what they're doing defensively and what we're doing defensively. There's some crossover as well. So, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, we play with great effort and we're coached up pretty good, and, you know, we got some toughness to us. We got a lot of program pride around here, so, you know, there's a lot of the non-coaching aspects of what I've tried to do with this program based on what he's done with his program for decades and decades.
You know, along those lines is one similarity the fact that you desire to do one thing, but you plug in different players to do something totally different. Because I think about Klein is very different from Waters, and it's the same offense, and they were still pretty good both times. You guys are the same. Like Will's very different from Skyler, same offense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, good coaches adapt to what their personnel is. You know, and I've seen them adapt to what their personnel is. You know, you've seen us adapt to what our personnel is. The quarterback's the easy one to point to, but how you are up front and what kind of receivers you have, what your D-line's like, what your corners are like, being able to adapt and adjust how you coach any side of the ball based on what your personnel is and where your strengths and weaknesses are is the number one thing as a coach. He may have invented it way back when. So.
Aside from athletes, why was Mississippi State able to run the ball on them so successfully?
Yeah, they're good. Mississippi State's a good football team. You know, I heard they were a good football team. This is the first time that we've had a crossover game in a long time. I can't remember the last time, but you know, so we studied that one. Their Mississippi State's personnel is pretty good. I mean, they got dudes up front that can block you. They got a couple of backs that were hitting the hole. You know, that quarterback keeps you honest in the run game. They're a pretty physical outfit. So, you know, they schemed them up and they blocked well and they played well. You know, Mississippi State matched them on special teams, and you know, defensively they got guys that can run around. Their D-line is extremely big and extremely physical. That looked like a good team to me.
And it seems like when they compare Kansas State to other teams, they compare offense, you know, because guys like us, that's probably all we know about. How is their defense different, or what do they build their defense around?
Well, they're not overly complicated with what they do. It comes back to just the technique of blocking and tackling is when it gets right down to it. I mean, that's you know, special teams uses both of them. Offense uses blocking and defense uses tackling. They're technically really good. They're tough and they're really good. You know, they don't try to get overly crazy with what they do defensively. They're going to be sound. They're going to play their tail off. They're going to get off blocks, and they're going to be sure tacklers. You know, their secondary is really talented. That's why I think they're playing more man coverage than what they've done in the past, based on their personnel back there allows them to do it. I mean, they got some good players. It's just technique more than anything. You know, take schemes out of it. Technique is where I look at it. It's pretty good.
It seems the man coverage would, I mean, their theory, it seemed to be to make you go the length of the field and have to run a lot of plays and figure that you're going to make a mistake somewhere along the line.
It's more what they used to do. More zone coverage, playing off quarters, back up, keep it in front, rally to the ball, be sure tacklers. I don't see them doing that right now. You know, and we went into that Tennessee game not knowing what they were going to do. Are they going to back up and keep it in front, or are they going to take some chances and blitz and play man? And that's what they did. That can give up big plays.